Namaste, my good friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and I help people navigate through their ascension process. And today I'm going to talk about what I perceive to be the number one block to people's manifestation endeavors. You know, for a long time, I really, for a short while, after I watched the movie The Secret, I was all razzed up. The information, the content, the message, it resonated. I was like, you know what? I believe this. This is like totally spot on. A lot of other influential people in my life have sort of alluded to this, like Napoleon Hill. He speaks of it as the law of hypnotic rhythm. And just a lot of other fairly influential and accomplished people, they refer to this force, the law of attraction. So I was like, you know what? Cool, man. My thoughts turn to things, as Bob Proctor says, and I have all these ideas. So, like many of you, it wasn't quite like that. It wasn't that simple. I had the block. The block that I'm referring to is neediness / impatience. I didn't really accept that we live on Earth where things tend to take time. They don't have to take time, but it's a bit of a stretch for my mind to be able to truly believe that I could just win $1 million tomorrow. I believe everything's possible, but that's not realistic for me to be able to believe that. It's just too much of a stretch. I just don't. You can't really choose what you believe. You just believe it based on your experiences and logic and whatnot. But anyway, so when I would not get what I wanted, I would do all the different steps that people suggest. I'd have my vision boards, and I got real good at visualization, where I could just feel the presence of what I want, which I wanted in my life already, you know. And then still, my life just did not change. And I discovered that I had this block, and the block was a needing it to, I was not validating what was happening in my now, and I was needing, with a hint of desperation, to be elsewhere. I was pushing that manifestation into the future, and again, sort of ignoring what was going on in my life now. So I'm going to talk about how to lift that block. It's one thing to recognize it, but curing that desperation is not an overnight thing. It's not an easy thing. So I'm going to talk about a few different angles that I believe will help you lift that block. And then once you can do that, once you can just accept where you are now, no matter what's going on, you'll find that the things you want will just start flying at you. So I believe that the manifestation process really comes down to your action, the consistent action. But the blocks, the emotional blocks, can distort, can skew your mind and affect your decision. Therefore, you're not putting in the right kind of action. When you're desperate for something to happen, you tend to push it away with a strong force. I experienced this in a very real way when I was in high school. I was not very good with girls. I exercised, and I was like halfway decent looking, average enough. And I could sometimes hook up with a girlfriend for a little while, but I had such a desperation because I felt like I needed one. A lot of my friends at certain times had long-term girlfriends, and I felt like because I didn't, there was something wrong with me, and therefore I needed one bad to fix me. But that neediness, any of you guys know, that is not exactly the way to pick up chicks. That it pushes them away. Girls and women can sense that from a mile away, and it's probably the biggest turnoff. And that applies to life. What helped me overcome that was a simple song my buddy Derek shared with me. I don't know the name of it, but it's something like, "Hold on loosely, don't let go. If you cling too tightly, you're going to lose control." So it's a paradox. You have to focus. You have to want. At the same time, you can't want in a desperate, needy way. It's a combination of holding on loosely without letting go. But don't cling. Secondly, the intense need for something to manifest or change can make you start to really color your present existence in a very ungrateful and negative way. And when you start to see that, wow, my life situation, it's so far from my ideal that I hate it. It just starts to, and then you actually, the law of attraction works in many ways. You'll start to like manifest problems and actually have a grimmer experience of your present moment, combined with this desperate need to be elsewhere or have something else or something to shift that has yet to. It can just paralyze you. It can make you so you don't take any action because you're so miserable and hopeless. So that neediness can actually affect your ability to take action by, again, completely making it so you're not taking any. The way to deal with this is to recognize that. This same exact thing happened to me last winter. For a while, I'm on vacation now, but I live in California now, thankfully. But for a while, I was living in Michigan. That's where I grew up. And I wanted so badly to get out to California. And I actually took a visit to San Diego one time, and that just like, I wanted to get out there so bad. I liked the weather, the nature, the vibe. Compared to where I was living in Michigan, it was winter. It was just like polar opposites, right? And anyway, last winter, I had a very jumping up of the notch of my desire. It was like, you got to get out there, man. You got to do it now. And I had this sense like it was going to happen fairly soon, and it did. But that energy that like, I got to get out there now, caused me to become so miserable and just have such a crummy day. And I drove myself crazy because I wasn't where I wanted to be. And I realized that was blocking me. That was causing me to not be able to do the things I needed to do to get me out there. So what I started doing is I caught on to this, thankfully, eventually, and I started to make myself be more grateful. I read this Tony Robbins book, I think Awakening the Giant Within, real good book. And he talks about waking up and having like a gratitude list. And it is a very profound little mental task, just to wake up and consciously remind yourself of all the blessings already in your life. Yeah, I was not in California, but guess what? I woke up in a nice cozy bed to a beautiful woman, and my 3 kids woke up and they were there, and I had so many blessings that I was not experiencing. So try to be grateful and don't let yourself become paralyzed, because oftentimes what you want is going to require you doing something to get it. Thirdly, is that oftentimes the emotional barriers we have that or conflicting, misaligned beliefs, old repressed traumas, all of this emotional baggage we are all for the most part carrying around really has that same effect. It influences our action, and then therefore we don't take right action. Our action is distorted, and it can really have its way with us. So what I found, it's not wise to wait for it all to be cleared up and then you just naturally do your thing that you need to do. It's a combination of sifting through the issues and ignoring them to get shit done. You got something to do. There came a time in my life where I had to abandon the whole self-inquiry, all the spiritual techniques, all the vision boards, and I had a plan. But I wasn't doing it. I was sabotaging myself, getting lazy, paralyzing myself, going off these stupid tangents, never really building what I needed to build to sort of take on enough momentum to kind of carry me out to California. And I had all this all this craziness going on. I eventually, at that point, had to just ignore my emotions, be real simple, make out a very simple to-do list, and just freaking do it. Ignore the lack of worthiness, the blocks, and just like, I'm going to take this step. My left foot's going to go here. Now my right foot is going to go about a foot in front of my left foot, and then I'm going to repeat. And I'm going to get over there, and then when I get there, I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to do this. I had to treat myself like a little child, because it was so hard. Because these emotions, as you get closer to your manifestation, the emotions that are in the way of them, it, will really start to take on a intensity, and it can really like knock you off your path. So at that time, deal with it, but don't meditate all day thinking it only lies in the lifting of the emotions. It's a combination of sorting through your baggage and taking the right action. So anyways, again, all of those 3 situations stem from the neediness and the lack of validation for your now bubble, your now moment. And it is my hope that this video will help you learn to work with the law of hypnotic rhythm, the law of attraction, whatever you want to call it. It's some sort of strange force that does seem to have bearing in our earthly interactions and life experience. and hopefully this will help you play the game a bit better. This is what I've learned from this is my own actual experience. The three things I mentioned have proven themselves to actually work. So I hope they help you in some way. Have an amazing day. Until next time, namaste.